Welcome to Back in Shape with T. I'm Tarashe, and today we're talking about the science of muscle energetics, the hormonal response to exercise activity, and how we utilize food and energy to build muscle and break down fat. And the breaking down of glucose in the muscle, also within the body, how it occurs in two stages. And the first stage involves the breaking down of glucose into two molecules. So we get into how ATP is used, when CP is used, and when we get into the oxidative portion of our training, which brings us into a more aerobic fat burning system, which will explain to you why many trainers and coaches tell you that you have to lift weights in order to optimally lose weight and lose body fat. So without further ado, in this Total Gym series, I'm going to break it down to you. And as I've said before, I can show you and tell you a lot better than I can just tell you, because it's boring when I tell you. Okay, welcome to today's workout. What we're trying to do is go over the concepts of muscle building and fat burning at the same time. Some of us get into the groove of cardiovascular exercise as a means to burn fat. Good diet, we're trying to lose weight, but the problem is we start to lose valuable muscle fiber because we're not using it. It's use it or lose it, right? So this is the law of specificity. So we're specifically trying to tie in the fat loss component with the muscle building and the strength gaining component of this. So which is why we're doing the 3 different muscle substrate exercise routine in one. And that just means what we're doing in layman's term is developing optimal strength for your particular level, optimal muscle fiber engagement to grow, and then optimal muscular endurance to stay in that oxidative or fat burning phase, and then repeating the cycle immediately so we can keep the muscles pumped at a very high level, right? There's 2 things we accomplish here. One is we're developing a habit of strength and muscle conditioning within our fat loss or weight loss idealistic, or holistic plan. So when we neglect these and focus completely on aerobics, we do ourselves an incredible disservice. So I am here to help you figure out how to tie everything in. So we're going to use the Total Gym, and then a little later on we're going to get more into the science of what we're doing. So for right now, we're just going to jump into the exercises. I'm going to do 1 arm row for 5 with this 90-pound dumbbell. Strong and powerful and aggressive. 4, 5. As strong and fast as I possibly can. Get that up. And then I'm going to go 70 for 10. 1, with a pause at the bottom. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 reps is that optimal range to recruit muscles to create more muscle density or muscle growth. 5 repetitions, great for developing strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As strong as I can go. And then the 70 for 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stretch, 9, and 10. All right. So using several energy systems in one exercise routine. Now I'm going for the muscular endurance or the oxidative burn here, which will give me more slow twitch muscle fiber activation, or type 1A red cells, which grow, by the way. They also grow. You want to grow your big, strong muscles, and you want to grow your little, weak muscle fibers as well. So this is basically giving you a good understanding of how energy is converted into action here. So food gets converted into energy by the enzyme ATP, which ATP is the means by which muscles move. A muscle cannot be contracted without ATP. And the first phase, those 5 reps, are optimal for developing strength and power. The second phase, 10 reps, is optimal for developing bigger muscles. And this is optimal for developing more fat loss, mitochondrial density, capillarization, blood movement, and fat movement throughout the body. So it's more aerobic. The first 2 are anaerobic completely. Anytime you do a muscle action like a push-up, pull-up, or a row, or press, and you do it for longer than 60 seconds, it becomes more aerobic and less anaerobic. And optimally, 80 seconds in a set. All right, so I'm sufficiently fatigued there. Now I'll go right back into my 1-arm rows for 5. The goal here is to get stronger. You don't want to be stuck here. So I'm doing this for 5, but my goal is to do the 100 and eventually get up to like 130 for 5, and then 100 for 10, so on and so forth. That's how you know you're getting better. That's how you know you're building muscle and burning fat. One indication is by the amount of strength you're gaining with your routine. If you're not getting stronger, you're doing something wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Building that muscle. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anywhere from 8 to 10. Technically, 6 to 10 repetitions is where you build muscle. Anything 5 and under, you're building a lot more strength, motor neuron recruitment. All right, switching it up. 5 here. Aggressive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the way, I'm sucking my stomach in and keeping it nice and tight the whole way through. 10 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm pouring sweat. And then finally, muscular endurance. This is why we're doing this. Optimal to build muscle strength, muscle size, and muscle endurance exercises back to back to back. No rest from one exercise to the other, and we're hitting the same muscle, the lats, developing our back. You only want to do this program once every 10 days. We keep it going. Keep it going. Rhythmic, squeeze, get the endurance, fatigue these slow twitching muscles, slow oxidative muscles, fat burning. I'm worn out from this, and trust and believe, if I had 80s and 60s, I would go down and go 5, 10, and back to this, all right? So every segment, or every 2 segments or so, you might get fatigued, but that's a neat trick. And again, what I'm showing you is super advanced, and it's a great way to intermediately enter the total gym into a great routine altogether. What I'm going to do next for you is get into the science weed of muscle energetics. I'm going to talk about how it is you're burning fat and building muscle during a seated row on the total gym with 3 sets from the range of 10 to 15 repetitions with 30 seconds rest. I'm going to explain to you what fast oxidative glycolytic means and why it's important as a sweet spot for those of you who are really trying to burn fat and build muscle at the same time. So you're not trying to bulk up. You're just trying to get fat loss by means of adding resistance training to your routine. It is so important. Don't get caught in the cardio trap. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. All right, now we're getting into doing seated rows on a total gym. I want to get into a little bit of housekeeping, meaning that I want to talk about posture, stability, and control. With this one, since there is no back support and you're basically trying to balance your body weight on a sled, you have to keep the stomach tight. You have to lock your lower back, so arch your chest up and get your lower back muscles tight. That's also a way to get the core involved. Lower back and abdominals equals core. That's what that is. I'm doing 3 sets, 15, 12, and 10 repetitions with approximately 30 seconds rest in between sets. One of the things that you could do to continue the fat burning process while recruiting some muscle fiber is to do 10 push-ups in between sets. What I'm going to end up doing is some stretching in between sets. So I'm doing a straddle stretch after I do my 12 repetitions here. I retract the scapula, squeeze the shoulders back, and get a good stretch. I'm pulling this until I get real muscle fatigue. Because the resistance on this is not as much of as it would be on a heavyweight bench, I'm only taking 30 seconds rest, which puts me into the phase of development using my type 2A white muscle fibers, or the fast oxidative glycolytic, which will develop some mitochondrial density for sure. Doesn't use a great deal of motor units for muscle recruitment, but it does use an intermediate amount, pretty good amount of muscle, good amount of mitochondrial density and enzymes here, which means it's going to break down fat, and the content of fat breakdown inside of a muscle like this is fairly intermediate, so it's not quite aerobic, but it's enough to be considered a muscle building / fat burning together. The peak tension when we do this, we want to stay tense for about 40 seconds. So if I do 10 to 12 repetitions, ideally, or I want to do it and hold it for just about 40 seconds. Anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds, I should be getting those repetitions done. It's great to help you develop endurance so you become more resistant to fatigue, and your oxidative capacity, or a capacity to develop aerobic or fat burning, is pretty high. And of course, your liability is low. You're not going to get injured because you're using too much weight. You're not going to strain muscles when you're working in this phase, where you're able to do anywhere from 10 to 20 repetitions with as little as 30 seconds rest.